Hello, welcome. Yesterday, today. Good morning. It's Thursday, 7th of February, 2019. I forgot what year it is then. Perhaps it's because we're going back to the 7th of February, 1907, and we're going to dig some news out of the Gloucestershire Echo. First to note would be the weather of the morning, which was not too bracing, but just bracing enough, which is good news all round, I guess. First up, a large quarter-page advert consisting of 3 lines of bold text alongside an illustration of a bottle of sauce. HP sauce is very nice with cheese. Try it. And if you think that ad was chancing a fair bit of the reader, check out this chap who wrote into the correspondence. An earnest appeal to the editor of the Echo. Sir, allow me space for the following genuine statement. I, a respectable young man aged 24 years, of good character, being out of employment, earnestly beg to appeal to some kind friend for the loan of £10 to enable me to go to Canada. There is a great demand for labour. Should this meet with anyone's kind trust and sympathy, I promise most faithfully to fully pay back in the shortest possible time, with small interest if required. I should be pleased to show testimonials of character to any person whom this appeal may interest. An honest and willing hand. It's kind of the early days of GoFundMe. It's pretty amazing. I'm quite, I would love to know if anyone actually did follow that up. Since this is Dark Histories, I found this little oddity and I think it fits. And its headline simply, Another Mystery. An inquest was held at Deal on Wednesday on an infant found in the box of a domestic named Sarah Allen and at her lodgings. Allen denied that it was her child and said she had no knowledge of the body being in the box. A doctor stated that the remains had been kept 7 months, possibly much longer. He could not say whether the child had had a separate existence. There was no evidence that it was Allen's child or as to the cause of death. An open verdict was returned. Now I feel like I might be missing something there, but when it refers to a box, either way, it's a mystery of a young infant stuffed unknowingly into a box that was, I assume it was carted about for 7 months. Surely she knew that was there, right? Surely that's prime research for a main Dark Histories episode at some point. But talking of the main Dark Histories episodes, don't want to give too much away, but I found this story which just totally random from the paper that I chose. But it just so happens to be quite tightly linked with a main episode that's coming kind of soon. A woman's strange story of a changeling husband. A strange story has been told in the course of an interview by the Willesden woman who recently informed the local magistrates that she believes the man in her house is not her husband, though bearing a strong resemblance to him. She and the man and her 5 children live in a small flat in a rather poor district of Willesden. Even more curious than the story she gave the magistrate is the one narrated to the press representative. She said that 14 years ago she married a zinc worker and for some years they lived happily. In later years he sometimes left her for a few days, but she always thought he was visiting her mother. Now, however, a change had taken place. She believed that her real husband gave this man his clothes and belongings and then went away. The other man had been unkind to her and she had not told him that she suspected the deception. He gave her 2 shillings a week exactly as her husband did, and he came home at the same time, but she often noticed that his ways were different. Questioned as to how she fixed the date of the change, the woman said that a week or 2 after the birth of the last child but one, she noticed that a birthmark which her husband had on his left leg had disappeared. About this time too, she observed that her husband was darker about the hair and complexion than usual. When she spoke to him about this, he laughed and said, "Yes, I think I'm getting a bit darker." She had inquired about him at the place where he worked and found that he was going under a different name. Asked why this was, he said it was because there was another man of the same name working with him. The man smoked exactly the same kind of tobacco as her husband, but when he bought a pair of new boots, he bought 9s. On the last occasion, she remarked to him that 8s used to be quite large enough for him. His only reply was to tell her to mind her own business. She was still living with him as his wife, but she believed her real husband was alive and that he would turn up again. Pointing to a large photograph of a man in a frock coat, the woman said, "That's my husband, but it's not the man living with me now. That was taken on our wedding day." The photograph was that of a young artisan, apparently a man not difficult to impersonate. The woman is unable to obtain the aid of her husband's relatives to identify the man of whom she is doubtful, for she does not know their address. So far she has not acted on the advice of the magistrate and brought the doubted man to the court. So I'm going to leave you with those thoughts for today. A woman living with a man that's possibly not her husband. Thanks for listening. If you want to find us on social media, you can do so. We're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. You can find all the links to that over on darkhistories.com. If you want to support, we've got a Patreon again. You can find links to that over on darkhistories.com. That was yesterday. This is today. Have a good one.